know, and your phone. Oh man. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Wow, they changed some crap up. Do you see that? There's things that are blue now that I've never seen before. That's lovely. Good morning. You all had hope you all had a decent night's sleep. So I suppose we could start with the obvious, but I'd rather not. So have you been following this thing with these people who died in the backyard after watching a tragic situation? There's been a lot of jokes, none of them funny. You know, the people that seem to get low lives come out of the woodwork when things like this happen. But initial toxicology reports on this back when this was first starting to break, they were saying, you know, these guys did blow. These guys had smoked a little weed and they were all snorting some blow. Now, if you've ever done cocaine, cocaine is a drug that can make you think that you're probably a little warmer than you are. It is not going to make you sit in a backyard until you die. That quite simply doesn't happen. So the day that it did happen, I looked at my brother, Johnny Scoville, and said, you know, sadly, this is going to be fentanyl. Now, they were snorting cocaine. To be sure, they were snorting cocaine. It's in their system. Weed is also in their system. There's also enough fentanyl in their system to kill all of us. There was a horrific amount of fentanyl in the system of all of those people. And it is an excellent life lesson on exactly how gnarly fentanyl is. These respiratory depressants that are made inside, that are made in a lab. We're not talking about heroin. We're not talking about morphine. We're not talking about, right? We're talking about opioids, not opiates. But the crap that they're making in labs is they're hopping this stuff up to the point where it's like trying to drink off of a fire hose, right? The amount of chemical released in the body when these people took that, there's no chance. I'm glad I got sober before fentanyl existed. Holy hell, is that a great comment? Yeah, I am absolutely with you 100%. It really is. This is something I think about a lot. Yeah, we are talking about those people, Rexican and Messler. We're talking about those people in Kansas City. The autopsy showing that there was a crapload of fentanyl in their system. I don't think anybody was particularly surprised that fentanyl did this. Christian, you know, I actually appreciate you misspelling that. When you misspell those, the algorithm actually prefers that. So I love it when you guys misspell words like that. Taekwondo for life. Good morning, and thank you for everything. Appreciate you. Good morning, Pam. Rexican Messler, good to see you. Joe, good to see you. Charlie Murphy. Old Faithful. Piper, good to see you. Kathy, glad that you're here. Mischief managed. I'm glad that you are here. Yeah, you know, that's probably really good advice because there's just no telling, right? I mean, you're just as likely to get fent and meth as anything. Question: how the heck is fent so easily accessed? Gypsy Soul. Here's what's happening. It's not technically, as stupid as this is going to sound, it isn't technically fentanyl, right? We're just calling it fentanyl. It is an analog, right, of fentanyl. And an analog of a drug, it is super similar, right? But it is not the exact same chemical makeup. So the stuff that you get, that the stuff that drug addicts get from pharmacists and from doctors, right? That kind of fentanyl is not easily accessible. In fact, it's one of the most difficult drugs to get on planet Earth. It is a Schedule 4 narcotic, right? Which is most drug addicts are not even aware of the fact that there is a fourth What that basically means is that the amount of paperwork you have to file to write a prescription for fentanyl, alpha fentanyl, the real fentanyl, keeps it from being used unless the person is on hospice or is on very, very serious, very serious long-term pain management, because it's a rugged drug, right? So the stuff that's on the street is coming from China. China is manufacturing this stuff by the tons, and they were sending it to the United States, literally right to your door. And this was working beautifully if you're a drug addict. For years, you could just have fentanyl sent directly to your house. No problem whatsoever. Then the previous administration, like him or hate him, said, you can't mail drugs to our friggin' country, right? Not going to allow that to happen. But in our infinite wisdom, as we do all the time, our vision is this, right? So what we said is, you cannot mail fentanyl to the United States ever again, right? We also had the foresight, which is astounding, to say, or the chemicals needed to make it, right? You cannot do that. It might have been a smart thing to say maybe North America, right? Or maybe this hemisphere, because now what they're doing is sending train cars full of this crap ready to be made to Mexico. The cartels are more than happy to take it and assemble it and then press it into pills and smuggle it across the border. The dumbest thing in the world, if you think about it, right? Honestly, the smart thing is to press it in the other side, right? It's a lot easier to smuggle stuff when you don't smuggle the bonding agent. You understand the pill is not all fentanyl, right? It wouldn't stick together. You have to use a bonding agent. It's usually polyvinyl chloride, PVC, polyvinyl chloride. Sounds awful, right? But don't trip, because it's what you're using in any pill you're taking today. Probably has polyvinyl chloride in it, right? Small amounts. They have to use bonding agents. Why would you smuggle a bonding agent that you could get in deep crap for, making the product bigger, right? None of this makes any sense, people. From a drug dealer standpoint, from a drug smuggler standpoint, this is the dumbest crap in the whole world. Smuggle it across the border, right? You smuggled 4 pounds across. Now add all of that bonding agent. You got 6 pounds. Nah, we'll just smuggle the 6 in inconvenient sized capsules that I can't pack into powder. Makes sense, right? But you can't cut it, right? Can't cut it. So when those pills come to the United States side of the border, a guy can't go, holy crap, this stuff's dangerous. It's killing everybody. Let's whack it. That was the term back in the day. Or lay it. Now you lay 2 on it. That's the strong. Lay 3 on it, right? We don't want people dying. But what they're doing is they're ensuring that fentanyl is coming across the border in every single way possible. This may come as a shock to most of you. However, we are not manufacturing a great deal of the drugs that are manufactured inside the United States, right? In other words, we're not growing coca plants and making cocaine. That stuff also has to get shipped from South America through the Mexican cartels into the U.S. What are they cutting it with? Fentanyl. Right? Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because cocaine takes you straight up and fentanyl takes you straight down. Now, the idea is, the thought process goes like this. If you put fentanyl in there, it's not just coke, right? They're going to catch a fentanyl buzz, and that fentanyl buzz is the most addicting crap in the whole world. So it's going to bring them back to buy more. That's the thought process, right? It's also horse crap. It is. It's absolute horse crap, because the people that like cocaine don't like fentanyl. Honestly, as a rule of thumb, meth addicts are usually people who are not real fond of going down, right? People who like going up usually enjoy going up, right? Now, there are people who will say, I like going up on Friday. These are people who don't have drug problems. Remember the ones I talk about, the 97% who do drugs who really aren't drug addicts? Hey, let's do a little blow. Nah, did blow last weekend. Hurt my nose, right? Those people, right? They exist. They're putting this stuff into cocaine so it will kill people. That's the design. The idea is it's to kill people. right? It is thinning the herd. You know what? It's just killing trash. Huh? Can't really do any better than that. It's killing drug addicts. Cannot go wrong just knocking off drug addicts. We commit more crime than anybody else, right? We do, right? Think about it. Holy hell, the amount of dirt I did to keep myself high, I was committing 25 or 30 felonies a day. And I'm not being funny, right? How many times do we have those conversations? We used to sit and go, how many felonies do you think we do a day? Honestly, not bragging about it, just thinking, what the hell has happened to us? Well, every time you shoot dope, it's a felony, right? So we knew we had 5 right off the top. But got to come up with that money, right? Now we're riding around in a car that's dirty, right? We don't have insurance on that thing. He doesn't have a driver's license at the time. So, I mean, we're stacking them, people. We're stacking them. Put a handgun under the seat, right? Now, on top of all of those other things, you have a gun in the commission of a felony, which is literally a felony on top of every other one, or it's called an enhancement. Good God, right? The drugs that are on the street today are not there to get you high. They're there to kill you. The Duragesic patch, right, that Sherry's talking about, was a delivery method, right, that gets fentanyl into your body or anything into your body beautifully, right? They also use a what's that 3-letter initial? I used to remember things like this. DSM, DSO, DMO, DMS. There's something that they put on it that makes it so that the stuff will go through your skin quicker, right? If by some chance you get this stuff on you, right? Anything that touches you can do you in. For real. Like you don't want gasoline to touch because it'll just go straight through your skin. Whatever that substance is what they line the Duragesic patch with. Then they put the Fent on it, right? And it is going to just bleed. It's just going to bleed in at a rate that is controlled over the course of a long enough period of time. That's the idea. And it works beautifully, by the way. Works beautifully. Right? Until you start cutting them into fourths and chewing on them. Right? That becomes a pretty serious problem. Right? Now, once you start chewing them up, what did we do? We would take the gel out, put it in a spoon, put liquid on it, stick that on top of a what do you call those things in the kitchen? Anyway, people, the stuff you cook coffee on, that you would put the spoon on top of the burner, right? You put the spoon on top of the burner with the gel in it, and the gel would start to liquefy inside the water, and you draw it up, and it was terrifying because you could actually see the gel go up into the needle. And I remember thinking that, God, I hope it doesn't coagulate like that when it gets into your bloodstream. But we would do it all day long. The Duragesic patch, great concept. It really is. Unfortunately, people just don't do that. I mean, the vast majority of addicts don't do that the way that they're supposed to. Lisa Trimble, thank you. I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you last night. I love you. I will support you and will be here for you. And the vote. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. I appreciate that greatly. You'll never know. Honestly, there's no way to describe that. Last night was overwhelming. Rolling Stone, member a month, unbelievable. And then I was going to come on here today and not talk about it. I didn't have a thumbnail made. At 5:00 this morning, Spanx Calhoun called. Spanx was so close to being here. He stopped last night because of a storm that was just unbelievable. So, but when the storm was over this morning, he got very excited about getting here and started really early driving and simply didn't look at the gas gauge. Pocket full of money, right? Right. Credit cards, everything needed, but just didn't look at the gas gauge. And it's the kind of thing I did to my dad all the time. And I got the phone call at about 5:15. And I said, I could probably cancel the boat right now. Doesn't look great when you tell people the night before that you relapsed to cancel the morning boat. But I could do that. And he said, no, you're not doing that. He said, He goes, the crazy thing is this. He said it's an hour walk in one direction to get gas and an hour walk back. I said, forget it. I'm canceling the boat. I'm not having you walk 2 hours to get freaking gas. However, the GPS wants you to walk apparently only on paved surfaces. Because when he got out of the car, he said, I can see the gas station. He said, I can literally see the gas station. But they want me to walk on a paved street like 3.5 miles down, right? Bang a left, 3.5 miles back, because they will never have you walk across the, right? Any kind of a grass or anything like that. So he said, yeah, Dad, I'm like a 5-minute walk from this gas station. Really, really funny. Gypsy Soul, thank you so much. Squirrel's gaining weight at a rate you cannot imagine. This cat needs a bigger basket. She understands the game. The gray is my new blonde now. All right, gray is the new blonde. So is this a reference to a stupid blonde joke? Does this mean we do stupid gray jokes? Because I know I saw a stupid blonde joke earlier. I used to tell those jokes all the time. I don't anymore. And the reason I used to is because Calhoun, for whatever reason, thought they were the funniest things in the world. And he used to like memorize them. And his mom was blonde and he would just give her the business. And some of the honestly, greatest blonde jokes ever. My son always had the good ones. They gave you Fent on the street when you had pancreatitis. Oh my God, pancreatitis. Ow. Thanks so much, Gypsy Soul. I really appreciate you. They gave it to you in the ambulance for pancreatitis. The stuff on the street, sadly, is just I wish that there's a way I could describe this that would make more sense. It's such a difficult thing to make people I can't articulate very well anymore what an analog really is, right? It's because it's not to say it's just the building block, because it's enough of the building block to get high, right? So it's not just the building block. I got it. Ever done ketamine? If you've done ketamine, if you've done special K, super K, whatever you want to call it, right? If you've done ketamine is an analog of PCP, right? Now, you wouldn't do PCP. You'd go, holy crap, there's no way I would do PCP. But a lot of us have done ketamine. And it doesn't have the exact same effect, but it has enough of a similar effect where you go, I can see that, right? Well, that is very much the case with the analogs that they're bringing in with Fent. And the reason that they're doing it with analogs is because they can get away with it. Thank you again, Lisa Trimble. They get away with the analog thing because, again, we're friggin' stupid. If we passed a law that said no more fentanyl coming into our country and no more analogs, right? It almost makes you wonder if they got somebody in on it and they want to give them 5 years to make a crap load of money on the analogs before they do away with that. And if you think I'm a conspiracy theory that sounds insane, when they made ecstasy illegal, right? We knew it was coming. They gave us enough time that ecstasy that we knew it was going to be illegal, that we were buying it and storing it, thinking we'd have a lifetime supply of it, right? But they didn't make it illegal. They changed the name. A year later, you could buy it under the name Adam and Eve. It was the exact same freaking drug. They changed this much, right? Then they did Scoop. Again, they changed it this much. Still felt like the same thing. Then they said no methyl-based drugs. You can't have a methyl-based drug. Well, that sure as hell got rid of it, didn't it? So why the hell can't we do that with dope? Because someone somewhere is getting paid. You can say that I'm paranoid and all of that, but I want to tell you something, people. You want to talk about big business? Big business? You take any of the cartels that are pushing fentanyl across the border, and they would be in the top 3 or 4 of the richest businesses in the world. But we don't know about it, right? We're not keeping track of any of that money, right? Not keeping track of any of that money. You do realize, no lie, several times a year, we find a train car full of $100 bills. No joke, right? It happens a couple of times a year. We will catch a train car full of cash going to Mexico, right? Paying off all that dope. Can you wrap your brain around that? A train car. and it doesn't put them out of business. Getting that caught a couple of times a year, nah, what are you going to do? People say, I tell the story all the time. I come on here and I say, I've robbed, I'm not joking, 1,000 drug dealers, right? I've robbed every drug dealer who was ever my drug dealer, right? That I was a heroin addict. I ran out of money. I robbed them. That's what happened. And people would go, I don't buy that. They'd shoot you. Of course they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't. The dope that they got in that car cost the cartel $4. That's all the dope in the car, right? That's everything. The dope's free. I'm not joking how cheap it is. And they had to make that stuff. They had to grow it, right? The stuff they got now, people, I don't think you understand how cheap this is. So if a guy says, hey, I want all the dope, take it. Take it. Yeah, take it. You want the cash too? That's how it was every single time. It's just a cost of doing business. You're going to get robbed. Do what you do to not get hurt, right? You don't want to get hurt. And for them to not get the car, right? Because you'd kind of like to keep that going. But if it comes to it, give them the car. Remember that? We did that a few times too. An Infiniti J30 comes to mind. A green Infiniti J30 comes to mind. And the only reason we stole that car is because the guy ran and left the car behind. And it didn't seem to make much sense to leave it there running. The point being, it's big business. I'm telling you. Okay, look, you want to do the book club? We all talk about this. You want to do the book club? Okay. The book we're going to read is called Wonderland. All right? Wonderland is the name of the book, right? And I'm pretty sure it's Wonderland. John Quinones is a guy that was a reporter for everybody. He worked at CNN, he worked at Fox, he worked at everybody. But he's an incredible investigative journalist. And he explains what the hell happened. Because let me tell you something. When I started doing heroin, right, you couldn't just call someone and have them deliver heroin. This was a concept that didn't happen. You knew somebody, right? And that person had a location. You would drive to that location. Now, they got slick. In some of the places, a bucket would come down on a string. I'm not kidding you. And you'd put $100 in the bucket. The bucket would go back up and your dope would come back down. And this would give them enough time so that if the cops started to come, they could flush the dope. Right? For real. That was the idea. And then all of a sudden, you could make a phone call and they would deliver the dope to you within 15 minutes. Right? And the crazy thing is, it was the same every friggin' time you bought it. You see, in the old days, even going to the same dealer's house, I'd walk in and I'd go, how is this stuff? Not very good. I mean, this would be your dealer, right? Because they are all addicted to it too. Yeah, it's kind of garbage, to be honest with you. Or it'll get you high, but it's got no legs. In 3 hours, you're going to be sick again. That's just the way it is. Oh, 1 second. This is Cosmic. Cosmic says, one has to wonder why so many people feel the need to escape through addictions. If there was a war on mental health and disconnection, how many more people could be saved before addictions take hold? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Addictions are going to take hold. Well, if they were good ones, right? How good would that be? Right? How good would that be? And we look at people who have healthy addictions. We do, right? We put gold medals around their necks. Think about it, right? Every 4 years, we celebrate junkies. You're going to tell me those people aren't junkies? Huh? They're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? When it's freezing, running, sprinting, right? Eating meals you would not want to eat every single day. Keeping their body fat at whatever the percentage they're shooting for. And they do this for their entire life so that they can compete for that gold medal, right? 1 minute and 30 seconds of glory. That's healthy, right? I mean, it is, but they're junkies. Make no mistake, they're junkies. But it's a great comment, Christy, because the thing is this. The question is, why are we all so damn uncomfortable in our own skin? Right? That's the question. Why are we all so uncomfortable in our own skin? And some of it, I think, isn't necessarily, People, I'm not uncomfortable right now in my own skin. I'm not. Right? I'm going through some changes, and some of them have to do with health and getting old, and but I'm not. It's not the old days by any stretch. Like I ate pills to get high the other day, but I didn't do it to escape. I always did it to escape. It was always very obvious to me why I did it. I just wanted to turn the computer off. There was nothing massive hanging over my head. There wasn't a cop out there ready to arrest me, right? I wasn't paranoid that the people across the street were on to me for doing dope. There was not any of those things that I always wanted to make go away, right? It was stupid things. It really was. It was numbers, and it was analytics, and it was dumb crap, right? It was dumb crap. Nothing major. And then you know what? And then I'm sorry, you start sounding like oh man, you can't use the words anymore, right? One of those words that used to be a 3-letter word that people won't let you say anymore. That kind of meant wimp, right? But I remember when the grunge music scene kind of came on. It was hard on those of us who were pre-grunge, right? Because our music was drugs are great, rock is awesome, check out all the chicks. Like that's really what all the songs were about, right? I mean, they were not deep thought. But they were fun. Girls, right? Like the 80s and the hair bands of the 80s. It was just this sort of decadent party fun kind of a thing. And then the 90s rolled around, and it was kind of this, I'm a little depressed kind of music. I mean, it really was very different, right? And excellent, make no mistake. But when Kurt Cobain would come out and say, I loved playing to rooms of 35 people. And now that I'm playing to, stadiums, you don't know how much I hate life. And I would sit and look at the guy and go, what a wimp. Not the word I would use. But I'd say, no one wants to hear that. Oh, poor you got successful, right? Wow. Poor you. For about 8 hours, I wanted to forget that the boat had 18,000 people. And to be really honest with you people, I wanted to have 1 million, right? I do. I wanted to have 1 million. But there are days that I miss when it had 7. And not because I don't love every person on the boat, but when there were 7 people and I was doing a live feed, if there was somebody that said, I'm having a bad time, I never missed it, right? It never went smoking by. No one ever felt neglected, right? And you start to, honestly, it's not the end of the world, people. And I'm not a wimp, and you don't have to do the, oh, poor Tommy, because I'm really happy with where I'm at. I really am. But it's an amazing thing, right? This is going to sound really stupid too, but I wish there was a way we could all turn off our brains for 8 hours. I think it would be a great thing, wouldn't it? It would just be lovely. Perhaps maybe an electrical hookup, something you wrap around your head, right? Something you wrap around your head or something like that, right? Where you threw a switch and everything would go, Oh, I am not. Are you surprised at this? I am not even remotely surprised at this. I promise you I would have been doing that. I promise you I would have been doing that. That makes perfect sense to me, sadly. We had nurses take fentanyl patches off of people and actually chew the used patches. Of course you did. Good God. Of course you did. Right now. Yeah. As we speak, someone's doing that. Are you kidding? Oh, yeah. That's because Duragesic patches never, ever really get rid of everything, right? So even if you're an addict that does it right, when you take it off, you cut into the force and you chew on it. Now, if you really want to get going, you don't put it on first. But that's also, you're starting to run the risk of your heart stopping at that point, right? You run the risk of your breathing no longer, the respiratory thing stops. Fentanyl is a very, very serious respiratory depressant. I mean, very serious. Kathy, I'm so sorry to hear this. I really am. My nephew's sister-in-law died from fentanyl. She was young and had a little girl. I watched her parents sprinkle her ashes. It was so sad. It sucks, and it's not slowing down. Sadly, I used to say very often that I used to get very, very angry, and I would go on these rants about fentanyl. I would do fentanyl rants, and I've been trying not to do them because I tend to get, I start sounding like I'm yelling at my audience, and I don't, and I really don't want to yell at my audience because my audience is cool as hell, but I'm pissed about it, and I hope that everyone is. I hope that all of you are getting a really decent idea of just how out of control we've gotten with the stuff that's coming across this border. I mean, I hope it's sinking in. I hope that this is something that is that's sinking in. We did drugs. We did drugs and it was fun. I'm sorry, it was, right? That was the idea. You didn't do drugs because it sucked. Did anybody do drugs because it sucked? You did drugs because it was fun. Lisa Trimble, thank you so much. Lisa, you're incredible. You really are. We did drugs because it was fun. We did drugs because it was escapism. And we did drugs because, you can't do it anymore, right? The stuff out there now is killing people. It's not, this isn't a joke. It's killing people. God almighty. I honestly don't feel like going on a fentanyl rant. I don't, but this is an ugly, ugly thing that we got going on. Thank the freaking Lord that I did Valium. You know what I mean? I'm really glad that I didn't have a prescription for a pain med. It's terrifying, people. It really is. It's terrifying. I got another one for you. You want to hear? So you want to do something interesting? Seriously. You'll get a kick out of this. But go ahead and do this. We have border towns all across America, right? Our side of the border, their side of the border, right? And then we have a imaginary line that runs through it, or we have a fence or whatever that runs through it. But it is a line, right? Okay. Do a little research on how many people are overdosing and dying on fentanyl on that side of the border, right? Do it. Do a little research, right? Places like Laredo versus Nuevo Laredo, right? Or Nogales versus Sonora, right? Start looking at the differences. And it would lead you to believe that the people on that side of the border don't get high. I got news for you. That's not the case. The cartels ain't letting that garbage touch their street. Just like back in the day, right? The mafia wouldn't let garbage on, into Bensonhurst, right? Brooklyn. There's never going to be any dope in Bensonhurst, right? Or Red Hook, or any of the neighborhoods that were at the time very much run by the mob. Man, you brought dope into their town, they'd kill you. They weren't going to have that. Well, the cartels aren't letting that crap on their side of the border. They know it's poison. They know it's killing people. No, they're sending it over here. Make no mistake, people. We're under attack. For real. And you're dumb if you don't see it. No, there is a federal analog act, my friend. You're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. It needed to be a North American or a hemispheric, right? Because what they're doing is they're mailing the analogs to Mexico, right? And that's getting assembled down there. In America, when we did the you can't buy fentanyl anymore, we did the you can't buy analogs. Like, we did do that. The trouble is they just mail it to Mexico, right? And if not, Canada, because we're so damn dumb that we'll pass a law that says, I can't send those to Canada, right? Or can't send them to Mexico. Instead of, hey, maybe if you're not a freaking pharmaceutical company, you can't possess this stuff. Research chemicals. Ever wonder how people buy stuff to make drugs? They're research chemicals, right? I'm telling you right now, there is a research chemical. I don't feel messed up telling you this because you would have a very difficult time trying to make it happen. It's difficult to find the first time. But there is a research chemical out there that I assure you is cocaine, right? Now, it did not come from a coca plant, right? But I assure you it's cocaine, right? It smells like cocaine. It tastes like cocaine, right? It in every way, shape, and form does what cocaine does, except it is very white. It is so white that you cannot sell it for real, because people who grew up doing cocaine usually get really scared by very white cocaine because it's usually not cocaine. But they make these things and they call them research chemicals, but they just knock off whatever the drug is. And I promise you, you can get damn near anything, right? Now, at a time in my life when I was buying drugs and having them sent to me from China, I bought, by the way, from a man who used to call himself Polo, right? His symbol was a polo horse. But I would buy from Polo. And he said to me, and if you ever want us to make you something that, like mix something, let us know. I go, what does that even mean? Well, he said somebody was making a drug where they were mixing like 3 or 4 different things, ecstasy being one of them, and then throwing in a little bit of fent, which at the time was not considered deadly. But they were calling it sex, right? And I actually there's another one that you guys probably have heard of, right? Gravel, guys, especially if you happen to be from, say, Appalachia, right? There was a drug that was going around called gravel. And what gravel is amphetamine for all intents and purposes, but it's not, right? This is stuff that they cranked out in that China was making for a really long period of time as a research chemical. And at one time, I probably could have told you what the chemical name of it was. I can't think of it now, but they called it gravel. And this stuff is what was it? But they're getting away with it. They get around exactly like spice, right? Like the spice in the K2, which, by the way, when you buy research chemicals, right? The research chemical that starts with J, all of those, right? The J class stuff, that's going to be your spice and your K2. The strong. There's other stuff that doesn't go. So in prison, guys would go, oh, a batch just came in and it's the J. It's the J. Bunch of idiots. And what they were hoping for, of course, was to fall on the ground and do the kiver. It's how they were looking for. Kathy, I'm glad that this border situation upsets you. I'm glad. I'm sorry. So glad that this upsets you. Because we're all going to get a chance to vote coming up here soon. And I'm not here to tell you that Republican, Democrat, any of that crap. What I'm going to tell you is this. Someone is going to say, there's nothing on earth more important than stopping fentanyl coming across that border. And I do not care if that person is a member of the Communist Party, right? I don't care what the party is. If they can stop this crap from coming into the country, I'm going to take a good hard look at them. Because as of right now, people, we're at war. And we're too stupid to realize that we're at war. For real. 286 of us right now probably have a handle on that. But the vast majority of the people do not know that we are at war. They think that these things, right, that are coming across the border are coming across the border. And, it's supply and demand, right? If it wasn't for all of those people that needed those drugs, see, it's our fault, right? We created that. No, you did, right? You did. You let the Sackler family, right, flood the street with the strongest opiate that anybody had ever seen. And they told people 4% of you might get addicted, right? How did that happen? Well, you owned the people at the Food and Drug Administration. And I'm not being funny. They used to work for the Sacklers, right? It's incest. They go back and forth, right? You leave the FDA, you can take a job working for Sacklers, right? You leave the Sacklers, you take a job working at the FDA. So this little incestuous crap went back and forth, and they put those drugs on the street, right? They dumped these drugs all over the street until everybody and their brother was addicted. Then they said, can't put them out anymore, right? Because this stuff is wildly addicting. So no matter what we do, we can't put that stuff back out. So don't do that, right? Now you've got all these people that are addicted to pills, which, by the way, say M30 on them. So what do? You flood the street with fake drugs that say M30 on them. People, this isn't an accident. None of this is an accident. If you think that this is just a perfect storm of weird things that happened, then with all due respect, you're an idiot. You know, this has been engineered from Jump Street, and they're doing a hell of a job at it. They really are. Question. What about kratom? Tommy, a holistic doctor prescribed this for my pain. I don't know if I should take it. It was sold in a plain plastic bag. I would find a new doctor if you really want to know the truth. I would get as far away from that jackwagon as I possibly could. Now, people here are going to argue with me on this, but I'm going to tell you right now that drug is going to attach itself to the MU receptor. Things that attach to the MU receptor get you addicted, right? You can say whatever you want about kratom. Keep doing it, and you're going to get addicted to it. I promise you. It is for whatever you want to call it, right? Well, it's a root, right? It's technically closer to the ginseng. I don't give a crap. It's attaching to the MU receptor, right? That's what the morphine molecule does. I got guys right now that I'm working with right now who have been getting the liquid form of this, and I swear to you on all that's holy, I would rather work with a heroin addict. For real. They are way easier to get clean than the people who are addicted to kratom. Probably because they can get it everywhere, right? Because nobody's going to give them any crap for it. Right? But boy, oh boy, be very careful, Piper, with kratom. It is not a safe alternative. Now, right? Would I rather have you doing kratom than heroin? Probably, you know? But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's popcorn. You got nothing to worry about. It's a friggin' drug. It's a drug that should be regulated. That's the other thing. There's no regulation in this, right? So this batch to that batch to that batch. Oh, ew. There's no telling what you get, right? You may hate the Food and Drug Administration. I'm not a fan, but at least you know what the hell they're going to put in it, right? There is a list of ingredients, right? They can call the kratom whatever they want. They don't, everywhere you go, if they're selling it as what? Well, it's a dietary supplement, or it's a, right? If they're doing that, they're getting over on you, for real. By the way, if your medicine is sold at head shops and gas stations, give that some thought, right? With all due respect, if you're buying your medicine at a friggin' gas station or a head shop, it's not medicine. You with me? Honestly, kick that around, right? This stuff is medicine. It's very important to me, right? I'm tripped out by this medicine. Where do you get it? At a friggin' head shop. Yeah. Call it out whatever you want, right? You get it at a head shop. You get it at a gas station, right? That's gas station heroin. For real. That's what they call it. Google gas station heroin and see what comes up. Actually, what you're going to get is probably not kratom, but it's another version of the same thing. Hey, Tommy Steggs, good to see you, man. Spoke about me this morning. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you, Tommy. Oh, he's a good man. He really is, people. He's a good man. And you know what? There aren't that many of them left. It's sad but true. Old school people. There was a time in this country, and there was a time in this world where people really did care, right? For real. I mean, even there was a time when criminals, right, thought drugs were disgusting. There was a time where you could literally get whacked for selling that stuff, right? There were entire crime families that said this is not something that we allow. Can you imagine? For real. Boy, we don't live in that world today. BJ Critter's The Wonderland book I'm thinking of is by Danny. No, different book. I'll find out the name. I do not want you getting. It's by John Quinones, the guy that used to be the investigative journalist. Pretty sure it's called Wonderland. If it's not Wonderland, there was an amusement park. There's a picture of an amusement park that went out of business. Right? I think it's somewhere in Ohio. And that's the reason they called the book that, because they're showing you literally what happened, how drugs destroyed a town. I think it's called Wonderland. Whatever, I have it. I can find that it's here. I've read it like 4 times. It's one of the best books on this subject matter ever written. I take that back. It's the best book on how we ended up with the drug epidemic. But with how the drug epidemic became what it is today. How you can make a phone call and have the dope at your house like a friggin' pizza delivery guy. And that they literally say it's Pepsi, right? Let me catch you messing with the dope and you're dead. You can't cut it. You can't mess with it because every single person is selling the exact same product. That really changed the game, right? That changed the game. When all of a sudden you could predict just how strong the dope was going to be, that changed the game. I mean, in a big way. Tommy, human to human, what's left on the bathroom floor is just unconditional love. God bless you. I'm all for unconditional love. I don't think you have any idea how much I am into unconditional love. Thank you, Crafty Chris. I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate you. Tommy, sending you love and prayers. It took courage to share this. I have seen you on Surviving the Survivor, and you have always been a best guest. You got this. Thank you. Thank you very much. I spent a really, really long time thinking about whether or not I was going to admit that I used a drug to catch a buzz, right? I made a thumbnail and then I sat down and said to Johnny, what do you think? And Johnny said, I think that's a decision that you make, my brother. You know, it's definitely not a decision that I'm going to make. And the sad thing is this, there's no good decision, right? I'm going to catch a lot of hell. It is what it is. I'm going to get a lot of support, and I have from some great people. I really have from some great people. But you know what? When I shave today, I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to feel fine. And that's what it's about for me. So to those that couldn't take it, with all due respect, few. I mean, few understand, right? Few understand that you start lying to yourself, right? Or you start saying, I'm going to get away with this, or I'm not going to say this because nobody knows it, right? It's a bitch shaving, especially if you shave your head. Try doing that without a mirror, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when you start lying to yourself and you start BSing people and doing all of that, it gets very difficult to look at your own reflection. You know, really, never made sense to me that rats don't all have beards. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, and this is, I may not have done an excellent job describing this earlier, but this is exactly what happened is they took away everybody's legal scripts. I mean, they really did. What happened was the pill mills, like they found out that there were doctors out there that were writing 1,100 prescriptions a day. If you do the math, it's mathematically impossible to even sign your name enough to write that many scripts, right? So there was a knee-jerk reaction, as there always is in the United States, and they incarcerated a crap load of doctors, right? And the rest of the doctors went, I'm going to write my prescription for nothing, right? That stuff addicts people. That stuff kills people. By the way, if you're on it, I'm giving you 30 days to get off of it. 30 days? I was getting 12 OxyContin 80s a day. Huh? Kick that in 30 days. Let me know how that works out. Now, they didn't ask me to kick it. They asked me to go to a different drug, but you don't go from, anyway. For me, using started after going through some trauma and my abusive ex forced me, but I kept using after. Your boyfriend sucked. Ex-boyfriend sucked, by the way. I wasn't okay. Another common one, I think, is when people have legal scripts that get taken away. We've lost people on the boat who are not alive because doctors took away their legal scripts. And the doctor took away this person's legal script because when he took a drug test, there was another drug in his system, weed. He smoked a little weed. So they took him off of pain management. And this was a person who so badly needed pain management, right? This is nobody BSing anybody and 57 surgeries. This is not somebody that was trying to get over on anybody, but they would not allow him to do what. Anyway, Wonderland Avenue is a book I also read. That's about the murders in L.A. having to do with John Holmes, the porn star. Different book. I read that one too, but that's not the book I'm talking about. And if I sound like I say that I read everything, I spent a lot of time in prison, right? I'm not trying to show off. I read a lot of stuff in prison. It's all you do, right? If you named every movie or every TV show you've seen, you'd sound wicked, like you've seen everything, right? Yeah. What is this sleep thing you speak of? Yeah. The sleep will come, I promise. God, I am so far behind. It is incredible. If Elon Musk comes up with a with something to turn off your brain, oh, I promise you, if he comes up with that, I'll take it. I absolutely will take it. I hope I didn't just miss anybody, and I probably did because I just did a bunch of catching up. One of the questions that they ask people in recovery, in every rehab, it is absolutely considered done in every rehab, right? They will say, if there was a drug that you could take right now, a pill, and it would make it so that your drug of choice would never work on you again, would you take the pill? Or some will say, if there was a pill that would make all drugs never work for you again, would you take that pill?
Take two.
But my brother says he would take two, which actually really makes sense for my brother. It actually really makes sense for my brother. I always said that I would pay somebody to shove it down my throat because there's just no way in hell I would take that. The idea that knowing once I took this that there was never a chance that I would ever be able to do anything again, I couldn't do it. I couldn't, and it doesn't mean that I'm wanting to get high because I'm not. I'm pretty damn bummed out that I did it the other night. If you want to know the truth, it's messing with me. But I don't want to. Maybe I want to be tough. You know what I mean? For real. Maybe I want to pound my chest a little bit. No, not me. I'm not doing it. Right? That crap's out there, and I'm not doing it. Heroin's got my number. No, I have heroin's number. Right? I'm not doing that drug. That drug's never entering my body, no matter how friggin' strong it is, and no matter how much it can kick my butt. It's never going to get any chance at that. And I like that. What do you think of that? For real. I like that. So that's that. That's if you could see me crochet, I am not good at it. You would probably get a kick out of it. I am not good at crochet. I really am not. I'm awful at it. But I did have a lot of fun with it, and it did help. You know, it really did help. I love you people. I really do. I love you people. Some of you are just so freaking funny. This is horrible. I've seen this before. My sister still drank even after court-ordered use of antabuse. It helped her when she was vomiting. First of all, court-ordered antabuse is rape. I think it's one of the worst things that anybody in history has ever done. It's rape. The fact that they can tell you that you're going to take something that is going to force you to not be able to do something, that's rape. And I'm sorry, it's just awful. They should never do that to people. And the people who did that should have their fingers broken. I'm sorry. You should never, ever force someone to take a drug of any kind. Ever. Ever. It's just, that's wrong. And I'm sorry that that happened there. And there are still a couple of jurisdictions that try to do this. The vast majority of planet Earth has decided that this is literally one of the most cruel and unusual things that you can do to a human being. But there are still some that do this. Thank you. Dreamland. Thank you. That is the name of the book. That is the book. Dreamland. People, read this book. You'll thank me. I promise you, you'll thank me. It is it's a book. If you honestly want to know what is happening with drugs in our country, this is a cat that did more research on it than anybody. And he went to Mexico. Like he did this. And it was an amazing book to read, especially because I lived through every aspect of what happened in that book. Like I remember how every aspect of it changed. So to watch somebody that went and researched it from the I didn't have a needle in my arm kind of situation, but I really wanted to look at what this meant. It was amazing. It really was. It's a book worth reading. And if you get it, I'll probably just read it again. For real. I'd be into reading that with you. Dreamland is the name of the book. Correct. I can't do drugs. Full stop. I like it. I like it. I like it. I'm
just not good.
I cannot paint. I cannot draw. I have zero ability when it comes to things like that. Sadly, I never ever got that. It never. Sadly, it just it didn't. Sam, there you go, Sam. That is the author. And amazingly, this is a book worth reading, people. You want, read this book. I'm telling you, read this book. It is absolutely worth it. It is incredible. Is alcohol a drug? Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. I'm sorry. I'd love to tell you that alcohol is not a drug. It is a drug. And I got news for you. It's the most dangerous drug on planet Earth. Don't think I'm kidding either. It is a terrible drug. It is a terrible drug. It is a poison that every single morning when you feel bad, you're going through acute alcohol withdrawal.
And it's everywhere.
And it is everywhere. And it is sold everywhere. But here's the good news.
Commercials on TV.
Here's the good news, right? It takes a miracle to get off of alcohol. And those miracles are a dime a dozen. Look around. Seriously, look around. Everybody you see here does it. You know what? I got to do this. You know what? Nothing's worse than when that nice girl from Jersey's right. Tommy, the one time I did while I was in the joint was H. Wow. Had to hold 2 very large balloons for my shot collar in the prison wallet. Never do that again. Yeah, no, I was telling somebody the other day about they're just, someone was saying to me, yeah, I don't care what's happening. There was no chance in hell I would ever, have put something, take something to the prison locker. Like I would never hoop something. You are an idiot. There is no chance I would never, ever hoop something. And I said, oh, yes, you would. As rotten as that sounds, if you wanted to keep it, that's exactly where you would put it. because they take it. If not, and I am really sorry to bum you out. Alcohol is a drug. It is absolutely a drug. I promise you.
It's bad.
And it's a bad one. You know, the good news is, for real, the good news is this. Nobody here, and I do mean nobody here, is going to look down their beak at you because you've had problems with alcohol. My problems was with heroin, right? And I did it for 3 decades. I robbed banks. I did things to get him that, yeah, I am literally, if I can do it, then I assure you, you can do it. The reason that I host this channel is because if I can do it, anybody can do it. You feel me? That literally is the reason that I do this channel, because there's nobody else. There's nobody else more qualified to say I was a bigger loser on dope than I am. Right? If I can do this, you can. There is nobody that has a right to say I can't do it. No, you're wrong, because I did it. I stumbled the other day, but you know what? I got back up. Not proud of stumbling, but you know what? I'm proud of not lying to you about it. This right here is a cat in a basket. I'm Captain Tommy, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless.